Are we doing? Hi everyone, Michael Sandler here, your host on Inspire Nation. I realize we're not on the blue mic. I wonder what happens if I plug it in. I'm going to plug it in and see if people can still hear us. Please. Whoa, okay. So it looks like something is working here. Do let me know if people can't hear us all right, because I don't know that we got the blue mic set up here, but it probably is all right. Welcome so much. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation, slightly distracted by Lumiere here, but so excited to see everybody here this evening. And I don't know if you, well, I guess if you're not on our Facebook page, you haven't seen that we had our ultrasound yesterday. Jessica, you've probably seen from our past YouTube lives that Jessica had a miscarriage. And we had our first ultrasound this weekend. And Jessica, how did that go?
It couldn't have gone any better.
Woohoo! What'd we find out? What'd we learn?
Well, as you put it, we found out we're pregnant.
It's so weird that people are saying, well, you're not pregnant until we see an ultrasound. Talk about what you think about, you bring about. This has to do with tonight's wiring. Watch what you say. Because if you go, well, I'm not pregnant until I see the ultrasound, then you may not be so happy when you see the ultrasound. So we saw the ultrasound. It was really positive. We're going to talk about that a little bit more here this evening. Are there any, other than coaching one-on-ones, and we're really booked out right now, so if anybody wants a free one-on-one session with me to see if coaching is right for you, you need to get in quickly, because our coaching is already backed up, I think, till May at this point. Is there anything that we should share with people, any housekeeping items before we dive right in on Rewire?
Well, we're in the early stages of setting up a membership website. And you want to talk about that?
Well, it's going to be, I believe at this point, at least I was getting out of automatic writing this morning, it's Inspire Nation University. It's a continuation of all of our classes, of all of the good stuff that we're putting out there. And so we're going to have a university that you're going to be able to come to for, I mean, something like $7 a month. And you're going to be able to get access to our programs, to our videos, to interactions between Jessica and myself. I've got her off camera. People are going, somebody wrote earlier today, is Jessica in the same house as you? Here, yeah, she is. But she's very pregnant today, which means she is really exhausted and not wanting to be on camera. So Inspire Nation University is going to be like one place you can come and get all the help you need. You need law of attraction help, we're going to have it. You're going to need health help, we have it. You need how to rewire your mind, we're going to have videos, we're going to have programs, we're going to be able to give you direction, PDFs, so much great information. And we're trying to figure out the easiest way to put this together and make it most visual, so that it's easy for you to follow along. So that'll be coming up in, my hope, guess, dream would be 6 weeks or less, but stay tuned. We will see what we can do about that.
Did you mention that there's going to be a community area so people can interact with each other? There's
going to be 3 different things. We're going to have BB Press, so we're going to have a community area where people can interact. We're going to have this Buddyfy or something, I may be getting that term wrong, which is like a giant chat area that everybody can communicate and interact with each other. I have no idea how this works yet, but I'm told it's really, really cool. And we're gamifying things so that you're going to be able to see how your friends are doing or other people in the community are doing. You're going to be able to track your progress. You're going to get like bonus, I like stickers, so maybe stickers that track your progress, so that we can make it super easy with accountability for help you to shift your life, because it's easy to get overwhelmed by the amount of information that's out there, in particular, the amount of information that we put out there. So we're making a simple way that you're going to be able to track your progress, monitor it, know what to do next. So really, really exceptionally kind of over the top excited about it. That's been the big project I've been working on. Along with, we now have a Facebook team coming online, so that we're going to have a more of a social media presence. And we would love your feedback. We are thinking of doing what we're calling a reality show of filming Jessica and myself twice a week in the car, here at the counter, on the couch, and sharing with you our adventures, how it's going with Jessica's pregnancy, how it's going in our lives, how it's going with Sir Meowsers, for instance. So these are all the fun things coming up. Anything else you want to add before I dive into things?
Nope.
I guess we are good there. I'm so curious as to whether the snowball is actually working or not, but I heard the sound loud and clear, so not going to worry about it. All right, and that brings us to, not to worry about it, brings us to rewiring your mind for happiness. So, as I was saying a whole long time ago, about 30 seconds, last fall we had a miscarriage. Now, I can't say it was a positive event, though it certainly taught us a lot. This week, we had our ultrasound. We were over the top happy. It brings up some important points. First off, while a tragedy is a tragedy, there's nothing you can do about that. And I don't want to go, oh, just think positive. That's crazy talk. Tragedy is tragedy. A loss is a loss. Grief is grief. But what we do know about any serious event is that, well, there's always going to be a hole in your heart. Please don't let me say, or don't take it that I'm saying, oh, the hole in your heart will go away. You will always miss somebody. For instance, if I was to say, Bam Bam, to the Jessica.
Why?
Oh, that was our first love. Well, her first love. I don't know how.
My first true love.
Your first true love. Bam.
Even though we were married already.
Yes, Bam Bam, the Japanese bobtail kitty cat. A Japanese bobtail is, if you go into an Asian store, restaurant, or something, you'll see this white cat.
Hello Kitty is inspired by the Japanese bobcat.
Yeah, Hello Kitty is basically a female Japanese bobcat. And when he passed away, there's still a hole in her heart. So I would never say this too shall pass as far as the hole in the heart. But from almost any serious life event, this too shall pass. And something positive can come out of it. I remember when I slammed the deck, I shattered my way too many parts than I really care to go into from my near-death experience. One, I knew something very positive could come out of it. And if I wanted to survive, something very positive had to come out of it. It's really all about reframing. Look for the good. Can you find or see something good in the experience, or that can come out of it? And that has to do a lot with rewiring. So when I work with a coaching client, let's say I'm working with the Jessica next to me here, speaking about her in the third person. And if I was to coach her, and this was a coaching session, first question, number one, after I get her on the line is, tell me some positives for this week. And she would have to come up with some positives on the spot. This gets your mind hunting for the good things. Today, I had just an awesome coaching session with a client from the UK. And I said, tell me about the positives. And she's like, I'm so glad you asked. I wrote out a list of them this week. And that's huge. Rick Hansen, one of the head researchers on positivity and happiness, he talks about the default mode network of the brain. Basically, our default mode is to go looking for the tigers, looking for what's lurking, looking for what's going to pounce us. The more that we practice, and we first heard this from Sean Acor, who we had on the show 3 years ago, the more, and another happiness researcher from Harvard, the more that you practice looking for the positives, the more your mind on autopilot starts to find the positives. And since the brain processes, or there's something like, I get the numbers wrong, but we're going to go with an estimate here. It processes or takes in 4 trillion bits of information a second, but it can only process 4,000 bits of information. So we are always looking for what matters to us most at the expense of thinking of anything else. So becoming more positive, finding more happiness requires training to expand what we take in and to look for those positives. So for instance, if you went each morning, and I'm going to recommend this will be homework assignment number 1. I'm coaching you here tonight. Homework assignment number 1. Each morning when you get up, you can do this right after your feet hit the floor. If you've got the journal in bed with you, do it right there. Don't turn on your phone where you risk seeing your email. But I want you to immediately look for 5 things you're grateful for each morning, or 5 positives in your life. So you get out of bed and you're like, wow, I've got my health today. Wow, I've got my husband, my partner, my spouse, my kitty cats, my this. Awesome. Wow, I've got a really positive attitude this morning. Wow, I get to be on this computer. I've got a cool computer. I've got a cool home. And on it goes. That was way more than 5 at that point. But you start to look for the positives and get excited about the day. Best to find 5 new ones if you can each morning. But do not pass go. Do not collect $200 unless you have looked for 5 positives in the morning. This gets the brain looking for the positives. Second, when it came to our ultrasound, we had to control our energy after our first miscarriage to get ourselves in a better place. Jessica had the miracle of being gifted the opportunity to go to Dr. Joe Dispenza event. Thank you, Carla. And that helped her shift our energy. But we had to watch where were our thoughts going, where are our emotions going, and where is that energy going. Awareness is 50% of everything. Now, I'm not saying that you try to suppress or stuff down negative emotions. I actually believe in just the reverse. If you're mourning, if you're sad, scoot right up to them. Look them in the eye. Observe them. Try to understand, or what I like to call, and I stole this term from, or borrowed this term from Ram Dass, snuggle up with the negatives, with the discomfort. What you resist truly persists. When you try to stuff down negative emotions, you're not going, oh, I can't think about it. I need to be positive. No, you're a well-trained, well-oiled volcano. And at some point you will blow. So instead, look at them, observe them. What can I learn from them? How can I shift based on them? And so we had to do this fall. We had to say, wow, this really hurts. This really, really sucks. What do we do from here? Where do we go from here? How do we heal? And how do we get ourselves into a better place? And that brings us to the third. We use the experience to make positive changes. In essence, we used a defining moment in our lives to help bring out the best in ourselves. We looked at our diet. We looked at our exercise. We looked at how we were speaking to ourselves. We looked at how we were speaking to baby. Although I must say, Jessica was over the top positive in how she was speaking to baby. She's off on the side, and I promised I wouldn't put her on camera tonight, and she's going like this.
It's because I'm bloated.
I thought it was love.
That too. I'm rubbing my bloated belly with lots of love.
I like it. So we have shifted things. Can you think of something? I don't want to put you in the spot. You don't have to answer this, but can you think of anything that we have shifted toward the positive since pregnancy round number 1?
Well, I know immediately we were telling ourselves, I'm sure at some point in the future, we're going to look back and we're going to go, thank God the baby decided to come back around a few months later so we could get some systems in place and some help on board.
Absolutely.
Because the whole fatigued first trimester thing caught us off guard.
It totally did. And we have shifted a lot of the business since then. And I would say in many ways, you came back to life for both the proactive with the business and proactive for yourself in ways you hadn't been in a very long time. It was like you were in mama bear mode.
Yeah, because I felt like it wouldn't be long till we were pregnant again, so I better get some work done.
Yeah. So going outside of work, and it was a typo here. I said it was definitely a challenging moment that helped bring out the best in ourselves. And what I said is it turned out to be a defining moment for ourselves. My thinking is we could have gone down the sewer with that one. That really could have broken us.
Yeah.
And instead, well, how are we doing right now?
We're pregnant again.
I'm going to be in trouble after this. He's going to go, you were putting me on the spot again. I don't have the exact answer. I just know
Well,
that our
it's like
attitude.
Mad Libs. Do you remember that?
Mad Libs.
I think that's what it was called. Like this little booklet that has sentences, and like every sentence had missing words, and you had to like be very specific on figuring out what that missing one word is.
And so I'm like playing a game of Mad Libs with you. I am so sorry.
So during these periods of silence, he's looking at me, waiting for me to fill in the blank, and I'm just giving him a blank stare, like, what?
Fair, more than fair enough. But I would say the relationship's a lot stronger. I would say we're overall more positive now. I think we feel more empowered now, more on track now. And while there's a hole in our hearts and we're like, is this Hannah? Is this a boy? Who is it coming through now? I think there was some incredibly special things that came through it. And it certainly was another trial of the relationship. Not that we needed it, but we came through.
I don't think it was a trial for the relationship. I think that you took the opportunity to step up to the plate. And
can I pivot this over toward you a little bit?
I guess so. I look really small because I'm sitting on a chair that has a back to it, and Michael's on a bench.
No, you're just much smaller than me. She has a longer torso than me. When we sit next to each other at the dinner table, or basically if we sit at McDonald's, I've never been to McDonald's in a decade or two, but if we were going to a booth in a restaurant, it would look like I'd need a booster seat to be at the same height as her.
Yes.
Because of your torso length.
Yep.
So anyway, you were saying.
What was I saying? You were very supportive, and you were quite aware that I still had raging hormones, even though there wasn't a baby there anymore. And you were very patient with me and let me cry and do whatever I needed to do. Did I get angry with you? I don't remember. I know. At some point I got angry in general. I think it was just part of the grieving process.
There was definitely some point before pregnancy number 2 where you had threatened divorce.
No, I think you were putting that interpretation into what I was saying. You were projecting.
All right. Well, I was working on my duck and cover skills, and I didn't do so well.
I think you said something like, fine, you want a divorce? I'm like, no, that's not what I said.
I don't think that's what I said. But I will go with guilty as charged because I'm...
You use that line a lot.
Don't worry, everybody. We're good. We're strong.
It's karma. I threatened divorce enough in our time together that he's on edge. Still, 5 years later.
So I think we made a positive out of it. I think we made a real positive out of it. And then we made a baby out of it. So, which gets us to the next point. You are not helpless. And you're not at the whim of nature. You can use life events to make yourself stronger, more capable, more at peace. I love the expression, and I say it all the time with my coaching clients, the universe is happening for you and through you, not to you. If you say, oh, why did this happen to me? Why did this miscarriage happen to us? You put yourself in a victim role. You completely disempower yourself. You end up heading down a negative road. You put a dark cloud on yourself and you say, I have to fight against God, universe, source itself to try to find a way out of this because everyone and everything is against me. If instead you assume that there's more going on behind the scenes and there's, again, I don't want to take away from tragedy, but there's more here than meets the eye. Again, universe happening for you and through you, not to you. It shifts and changes everything. So how do we do this? How do we make a shift? First off, begin looking at your thoughts. Do you find yourself complaining when you come home? Complaining about the day, complaining about the traffic, complaining about what so-and-so did or said? Truth be told, and Jessica may respond to this, when we first started going out, and probably when we first got married, but I can think back to Boulder Creek and the first apartments we were in together. I used to come home and I said I was Mr. Positive, but I was a complaining rampage. I was going to say a complaining ramphole. I would be complaining about this, about that, about the other thing. And you were like, and I'd be saying, I'm positive. And Jessica would say,
insert profanity here.
You're not flipping positive? She was.
Well, you were positive to the outside world, but you weren't positive at home.
No, and when you see somebody who's struggling, when you see somebody that's not positive, so I'm not going to go in a real political direction, but if you have somebody in politics that you can picture that doesn't appear very positive, and you think that they're taking it out on the world, well, you wouldn't believe how they're taking it out on themselves. When we're complaining about the world around us, when we're picking or saying there's something wrong with this person or that person or the other thing, really, the amount of berating, the amount of anger, the amount of upsettedness that's going on to ourselves is unfathomable. So Jessica called me on it, and it was important because what I was doing and what we fall into a trap, it's a dopamine trap. When I come home and I go, oh, you wouldn't believe how awful the skiing session was. Okay, that just doesn't work. That's like saying how awful the fishing was.
I'd be like, great, stay home and do more work.
The skiing was awesome. Woohoo! So, oh my, what a fun evening. But no, if you said, how terrible the traffic was, how terrible this was, how terrible that was, when you do that and you say it to somebody else, and I said, oh, how terrible it was, and you say,
oh, poor thing, the skiing was terrible.
I get a huge dopamine hit. I get a positive rush of chemicals that says reward, reward, reward. This happens with our kids a lot. When kids trip and fall and we're, oh, poor thing, and we overdo it to make them feel better, then they want to trip and fall again. Or if somebody gets sick and you really over-commiserate, then they not necessarily going to want to get sick again, although I would say that autoimmune things have a weird loop that's going on. Something that was serving somebody in the beginning may not be serving them later on. There are lots of reasons for it if you've got one, but that can be one piece of it. But when somebody compliments you, in a sense, for something negative, it creates a feedback loop so that you go looking for more of the negative. I call it complainitis. You start finding more to be miserable about and more that you're miserable about, and it becomes a spiral. Instead, I wonder if I bent my glasses. That too could be a negative. Instead, if you go looking for the positives, it spirals upwards. So I was on the slope today, and I was surprised. I found myself saying this. I passed a ski patrol guy who was pulling out a slow merge flag because they had closed one of the lifts, so there was no more merge. And he says, how you doing? I said, great. And he goes, what a perfect day, isn't it? And I said, it's an absolutely perfect day. And it's only going to get even better because there's a big snowstorm coming. Mm-hmm. And he laughed and he got it. I was pointing out a positive and looking for even more of the positive. And I got a positive response from it. I got even more of a dopamine hit from him being happy at my comment, which made him happy. It's a feedback loop. So if you catch yourself going into complainitis, start to flip it on its head. One thing you can do, I have several index card exercises. If you're worried you might have complainitis, grab an index card. I'm old school. You could do it on your phone as well. And put a tick mark down through the day each time you make a complaint. See how much you're complaining. Then flip it on its head. The next day, grab an index card and see how many times you're making a positive. You could even do both. See if you can get the positives to outweigh the negative as you're kind of chasing those negative thoughts away. Now, when we talk about negative thoughts, the biggest negative thought that we have, oh, Michael, you idiot. Oh, excuse me. No, the biggest negative thought we have is berating ourselves. Not only did I inherit what I call the screw-up gene, and Jessica knows about this all too well. Just ask her about driving my shiny new car and how nervous I am that something might happen. Good enough. But in the past, there was no harsher critic of myself than me. I think it was a protective mechanism. If I attack myself first, then nobody else will attack me. If I beat up on myself first, then nobody will beat up on me. This is a really critical one, and I definitely recommend, this is like homework number 3. Homework number 1 is 5 positive things in the morning. Homework number 2 is go looking for any critical thoughts versus any positive thoughts. And homework assignment number 3 is catching yourself each time that you are being negative towards yourself, meaning a harsh critic. Not that this isn't the complainer now, this is the critic. Catch how many times in a day you are being critical towards yourself. You would be absolutely blown away and amazed at how much you are carrying a boat anchor with you. We all do it. Oh, I'm not that good at organization, which I had a meeting with our marketing director last night, and I said, historically, I'm not very good, but I can get better. That's much different. On that note, I was thinking about this lately. When you look at the person in the mirror, realize that's not you. That's a reflection of your past. Who you are today is dictated in part by your past, in part by the decisions you make in your mind now. So you can radically change your future by the thoughts you're making now. And that stuck position you find yourself in now, in this moment, is only a reflection of the past. When you stop saying, I'm not good at typing, I'm not good at this, I'm not great at that, or we had on Diamond Dallas Page a few weeks ago, former WWE 4 or 5 times world champion. He gets into the sport at 35 years of age. He's working with a top trainer, and he says, well, I'll never be a Hulk Hogan. I'll never be I don't know all the pro wrestlers out there, a XYZ pro wrestler. The trainer stops him cold and goes, why are you here then? Never limit yourself with your thoughts. You're a divine spiritual being having a human existence. You're capable of just about anything, as long as you don't limit yourself by saying what you are not. I go back to, I have a computer degree, full disclosure, a master's in computers, master in business too, but that's not important to this conversation. But I started getting rusty at my computer skills. And when we started the show 3.5 years ago, Jessica, by this point, had been completely beaten up by the mindful running program, beautiful program we made the year before, where she was forced to edit everything.
It's like over 100 videos.
It was crazy. It was absolute craziness. And so when it came to editing for Inspire Nation, at least for the audio, you told me,
I'm not learning how to audio edit.
You can do the flipping audio editing yourself. And so one day, as I'm working on my editing skills with a free software which ate interview after interview, she told me,
it's time to grow up.
ooh, ow. She said, I have to learn some professional software. Now, the part of me that said, I'm not capable of this, I can't figure it out, Adobe is over my head, blah, 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 went right out the window when I said, wait, I want this show to succeed no matter what. If you change the message that you give to yourself, you literally change your world. It's called a growth mindset. It's something Dr. Carol Dweck, who someday we may have on the show. I say that as a positive. We were scheduled to have her on the show. I think life got in the way, and we hope she comes back on. What she talks about is a growth mindset is not a belief that you're the smartest one out there, not a belief that you're the most capable out there, but a belief that no matter what, you will find a solution. If we teach this to our kids, that you can find a solution no matter what, They will find a solution no matter what and be empowered for life. So we each get to work on our growth mindset. Thomas Edison is a perfect example of this. He found, 9,999 ways to not make a light bulb before he found the first way that works. And of course, as the story goes, when he didn't succeed one time or 100 times or whatever time it was, he said, I found another way not to make a light bulb. When we go about it with that growth mindset, we can't help but be not just more positive, but be more empowered. We've removed that boat anchor. Another thing about picking on ourselves is it literally can trigger an immune system response. That stress releases cortisol, creates inflammation in the body, can create autoimmune diseases and arthritis and much, much more. What we think about is really what we bring about, or thoughts become things. When we think negative, ugly thoughts to ourselves, we create ugly results. So do what you can to love yourself up no matter what. This has been a biggie for myself on my journey from, honestly, even though I was positive, I had a lot of self-loathing or disrespect to myself, to coming into a place of love. Why disrespect? Because I felt I was screwing everything up. I was ruining everything. What am I doing with my life? Which weren't even my thoughts. So important to pull on that string and see where they come from. A big piece of this puzzle, and there's really no getting away from it, is meditation, is going to the silence. As I discussed on many shows, as I discussed on last week's show with my parents, love you guys so much, is that I used to be a squirrel on crack. I was bouncing all over the walls. My energy was barfed out everywhere. But by spending 20 minutes a day on meditation, I learned how to quiet the mind, keep it from racing. I learned how to watch my mind, control my mind, observe my thoughts, make changes. Literally say, oh, wow, did you notice, Michael, that every time you do this, you say that to yourself? Hey, I don't really want to do that. I'll do this, do that over there. And then I start catching myself after I've had that thought or taken that action, catching myself a little sooner, until I've made radical differences in my mind. So by basically putting a mirror on my mind for 20 minutes a day, I helped rewire everything. Not only does meditation calm you down in the moment and help you to rewire synapses, but it helps you to take better control of your mind throughout the entire day, because you learn how to focus through meditation. So you're in a meeting and you need to pay attention, but your mind is going to pizza, it's going to this, it's going to that. You learn how to bring it back. Somebody says something critical to you. You don't want to focus on the negative. You learn how to bring it back. You find your energy is starting to spin out of control like a Tasmanian devil. And you learn how to get grounded and centered, what I call becoming the eye at the center of the storm, and bring your mind back. Which brings us to the next piece. Start rewarding yourself. Treat yourself as your best friend. Treat yourself as someone you love so much. I love you, I love you, I love you. This is shaking wifey syndrome. I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. I've shared the story so many times. When I first told that to myself, I smashed the mirror and destroyed a bathroom. But over time, I learned how to treat myself most of the time as a best friend. Sometimes I can still go into the screw up ruts and go, oh my God, what did I do? But then I do bounce back really, really quickly. Watch your language. So treat your language like you would speak to a best friend on your better days. Watch how you support yourself and begin treating yourself like the best person in the world, even if you don't believe it yet. Of course, you can use a mantra, and such as I send myself love, I send myself love, I send myself love. You can do EFT tapping. I love myself. I'm so happy and proud with myself. I'm so capable. I'm so strong. I love where I'm going in life. I love the changes that I made. Thank you for these beautiful changes. Thank you for these beautiful changes. Or you can do hypnagogic work before you go to sleep at night. This morning, I had to get up really early to work on my coaching certification program. And I said that I was going to wake up at 4 o'clock so incredibly rested and refreshed. I woke up several times going, is it 4 yet? It wasn't. And then at 3:40, I felt awesome. And so I got out of bed, rested and refreshed from the messages I had sent to myself. Smile more. Okay, just going to look a little bit creepy, but put up your cheeks and smile. The brain, I'm not a big fake it till you make it guy, but the brain doesn't know the difference between a fake smile and a real smile. It releases the happy drugs no matter what. And it again brings a feedback loop. You smile, you release happy drugs. The happy drugs are released, you smile. You smile, it releases happy drugs. And around you go. The more you smile, the better you will feel, the more you will smile. So literally get yourself to smile more. I've been known, both Jessica and I use tape on our mouths when we go to sleep at night to help us with nasal breathing, helps calm the body, deeper night sleep, keeps you from snoring. So many positive benefits of this. And when I tape my mouth shut, I do it in a smile, feel better. And I wake up smiling too. Lastly, set a positive intention to become more positive. Another positive feedback loop. Make it your mission. You can write out each morning, my goal is to be more positive today. My goal is to find more happiness today. My goal is to breathe into the day and bring more peace. Make it your mission. Write it out on your journal. Put it on sticky notes, put it on mirrors, put it on your desk, on your wall, on the wallpaper, your phone, on your computer. Put reminders everywhere around you that you're happier, then you have more peace, then you're in a state of bliss, that you are absolutely rewiring the mind. The more you remind yourself, the faster you will rewire your mind, the faster you'll make changes, and the sooner you'll feel happier, more relaxed, and have a more positive and peaceful state of mind. With that said, I'm going to do the worst thing that I can possibly do, watching my language as to what I just said. And the Jessica knows what I'm about to do. And I am going to try not to put her on the spot while putting her on the spot to see if she has anything she wants to add. And if not, I will continue seamlessly because I know you've been very busy in the chat room.
That's right. I have no idea what you've been talking about.
So do you have, so what Misha, our amazing editor, is wanting me to do on the show right now and I did it today. I did it for the first time. I get to ask the guests one question that we can do as a breakout video for everybody. So that we can have a 5-minute video. And I asked my guest today, what are the top 3 tips you can give us based on this topic? So if I was to put you on the spot for rewiring the mind, for happiness or peace or positivity, you don't even have to come up with 3 tips. Can you think of 1 tip? And don't worry if I've mentioned it before. It's always different if you say it than I've said it.
I thought you were talking about something else.
You have been well deep in the chat room.
No, I thought you were going to say that we were going to ask the audience what questions they would want us to answer during our little Facebook video post.
Tell me more. I'm not following. So,
well, we're going to start videoing more about our lives. And
yes, yep, having our own
For
little...
instance, people often ask, well, what do we eat? Or what's in your smoothie? And we thought, well, let's just make a video of us making a smoothie and we'll put that on Facebook. And actually, we could put it on our YouTube wall. We've never done that before.
Ooh, very cool. Okay. That might be tomorrow morning.
So I thought we could ask the audience.
We'd love it. So the question is, what would they like to see from us?
Yeah, just little 3-5 minute clips of something some aspect of our lives.
That's brilliant. So if you want to know anything about our lives, if you want the behind the scenes, behind the curtain, the reality, the real show of Michael and Jessica, not the foo-foo, not the fake, not the one. We just are, folks. This what you see is what you get. But if you want more of what you get, type it in, what you'd like to see from us. With that said, if I was to put you on the spot and ask 1, 2, or 3 things for rewiring the mind for positivity, maybe what are you doing for positivity?
Well, I think I mentioned this before, and because of the miscarriage last November, we went into this pregnancy, and I still had fears of having another miscarriage.
Mm-hmm.
So fortunately, we were gifted with a self-hypnosis program from Marissa Peer.
Yeah.
It's called Perfect Pregnancy, and it's 20 minutes long, and it's just reprogramming the subconscious to believe that the body and the baby have the intelligence to create a perfect baby.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's helped tremendously when my mind starts going out of control. And sometimes when you want, even like if you're laying in bed and you're like trying to shut off the mind and it just keeps going and going even though you tell it to stop, when it gets to that point, I'll start listening to the self-hypnosis. And
very, very cool.
Yeah.
You made me think of another one, complete tangential. So not that I didn't hear you here, but it has to do with something you manifested this afternoon. Because when my coaching clients are down, I always want them to get in spirit, inspired, and get back in the creative process. Paint, write, draw, pottery.
Yes. And actually, Cataline is online right now.
Woohoo! And you may have manifested through the magical assistance of Cataline a potter's wheel.
Yeah. And for a few years now, I've wanted to get my hands into clay again.
Yeah.
And just like a few months ago, I was talking to you about it, and I was talking about this memory I had of somebody's studio, and I started crying.
Oh, you started bawling.
I wasn't even pregnant then.
So there are 2 big things she's been bawling about recently. One is pottery and stuff, and the other is wontons. If anybody knows a way to get fresh wontons into the Roaring Forks Valley of Colorado.
I think it was dumplings. But,
dumplings?
Yeah, it was really, this is very tangential. But last night I was laying in bed and I started lamenting over the fact that there's no good Chinese food in this valley. And I started crying. And I'm like, Michael, why is this so sad? And the tears are just like running down my face. And the moment I said that, I started laughing. So, yeah, hormones are raging right now.
Yeah, I have no idea how we bring, and the questions that we have here are, I think, questions for videos. These 3 that came. I have no idea how I did start Googling this today to see if there's like dry ice, can put the dumplings on ice and get them shipped out to here, because you want that comfort food. You want that.
Well, I grew up with amazing Chinese food.
Yeah.
Like if my parents weren't cooking it, then it was at a top Chinese restaurant in New Jersey or New York City in Chinatown. So, yeah, I think I was feeling a little insecure or vulnerable, and I just started craving something that I loved from childhood.
And there really isn't, I don't know, I'm going to work on it. See, I got to be careful. There isn't any way. No, there is a way. I have a growth mindset. There is a way to get you dumplings, or somebody listening to the show will know how to get you dumplings or helicoptered in dim sum.
It can't be that hard. I mean, we get frozen raw meat for the kitty cat.
We do. I'm going to find it. And I have found some frozen organic caterers online. So there is a way to do it. Okay. So going back, let's dive into, and unless you have one other way that you want to share with people, we'll dive into a few quick questions here. And keep the video suggestions going, because like a suggestion on how to make smoothies, we'll make that as a video. How did we meet? We'll make that into a video. Fiona is thinking about sending dumplings to us. We take you up on that, Fiona. Oh my God, would you you'll save our marriage here. No,
I
be
didn't
careful.
know that it needed saving. Wow. Now I feel more insecure.
Oh God, no.
Just kidding.
So questions. And the first, I know somebody earlier had a question. If you're open for questions, I'd love to hear about how to set intentions. Man, the first thing about setting intention is really set an intention. I would like X. I would love to have X. I would thank you for X coming into my life. Write it down. Write out a statement. I don't believe, so there are lots of self-help experts that you say, you need to ask it this way. You can't ask it that way. Make it as gratitude. Don't say I need. Don't ask for it because that'll show a lack. I believe throw the kitchen sink at it. Say it any way you want, but say it from the heart. Universe, God, source, whatever we want to call it. I hope I didn't almost hit you in the face.
Maybe I'm used to it.
Okay, you. Responds to our emotions. So emote it. Much more powerful than any words that you come out with. Feel it. If you want to shift your life, write about how it would feel when it's magnificently shifted. I love doing an exercise where I help people to jump over the barrier that says you can't do this, it's going to be hard, you got to have to work for it, and write about it as if it's already here. You can literally go to your future self. Time is not linear. Your future self already exists. We exist on all points of the timeline simultaneously. Try wrapping your mind around that. But write to yourself from your future self, sharing how great it feels now that you have X, Y, and Z in your life. Brilliant, brilliant question, Lucy. I would do this each and every morning, at least 5 or 10 minutes. I don't have time. You have the time to switch your life, prioritize things around. If you don't have 5 minutes, do 3 minutes, do 2 minutes, do 1 minute. But write every single morning intentionally what you want for the day, what you want for the year, what you want for your life, and take back control of your life. Next question.
Carolyn asks, I love you guys. Question, my husband is so rigid. How can I influence him to be more open and let good stuff in?
As a general rule, the only way to break through rigidity is to be the role model, to do it all yourself. If he comes along for the ride, great. If he doesn't, we've got some other things to talk about. But trying to push somebody to change makes them more a wall. You cannot push somebody to change. You can plant subtle seeds, but then just do the work yourself and do it tenfold and see if he comes along for the ride. As a general rule, unless you have an exceptionally open partner, trying to fix your partner creates incredible resistance, not just in your partner, but in you as well, because you become disappointed, you feel rejection, you feel personal wounding because they're not changing, and you create a negative feedback loop. So watch for that by just doing everything you can to change yourself, and again, see if he comes along for the ride. Wish you all the best on that, Carolyn. We both send all our love as well.
Our next question is from Sheena, who writes, hi, do you have to be in the moment of experiencing anxiety to tap and have it work?
That's a brilliant, brilliant question, Sheena. No, you don't have to be in the moment of anxiety to tap on it and have it work. I would say if you're not experiencing anxiety, I would do only 1 or 2 rounds of EFT tapping on the source of it and then rewire for the positive rather than putting you in a truly anxious state. I don't ever want to put you into a state of fight or flight to then bring you back from it. So tapping is 8 points. I'm not going to go into all detail right now, but you can say, I love myself completely and fully, even though I find myself exceptionally anxious when I open the bills. I find myself exceptionally anxious when I open the bills. I find myself exceptionally anxious, find myself. I'm kind of rushing through all those points, But what you're doing is you're canceling out a negative emotion with I love myself fully and completely, positive, and basically tapping on acupressure points to calm the nervous system. But then go to a positive. I find myself calmer when I look at bills now. I find myself more in control. I find myself more empowered. I love how I handle things. Jessica has actually rewired herself to where she probably said something in the beginning like, I love it when I get bills. I love when I can pay for the bills. I feel our finances improving. I feel more in control, more empowered. You did rewire for this, didn't you?
I did. I didn't use tapping, but I don't know how it happened, actually.
But I'm using it as an example. But you rewired going after what made you anxious when you weren't in the moment and saying, let's tinker, let's play with this and see what I can do with it.
Yeah.
And you got to the point where now if the bill comes in the mailbox, you're like, cool, we could do something with this.
Yeah. I feel really good having the ability to pay off the bills immediately. So I just do it like right away.
Yeah. And I think it brings in not more bills, but brings in more prosperity.
It keeps the flow.
It does keep the flow going. What's a next question from Janet Anacosta? And we've got about 8 minutes left. So if you have a question, let's get it in now, and I'll do my best to answer it.
Michael, is yoga the same as meditation?
That's a brilliant question, Janet. And I'm going to say something that could sound a little sacrilege, but I'm going to say no. Yoga can be a very powerful tool, particularly for quieting the mind. But yoga, as I interpret it, and I'm going to go back to Yogananda from Diary of a Yogi, yoga is what prepares the mind for meditation. In this country, we have things a little bit weird. We think of yoga as the meditation, and then at the very end, and you've experienced this how many times? They say, all right, now we're going to... I don't remember the yoga term for it. Do you?
Was it samadhi? Or?
Yeah, I think so. We're going to go to that quiet space at the end, and we're going to breathe in and out for just a couple minutes. Okay, we're done. Let's go. Instead, yoga is to prepare you for that sacred space where you can drop down into your deepest meditation. Now, that's not to say that it can't be a powerful tool for you in helping quiet the mind and helping you tap into source, but in helping you to work on watching the mind, observing the mind, rewiring the mind, taking action on the mind. That requires, I believe, and this could be a limiting belief as well, you taking the time to specifically be with the mind. So we made a beautiful program called Mindful Running a few years ago, which incorporates mindfulness and running, meditation and running. But even with that program, I didn't say that's the only meditation that you need to do. I would say mindful running will help you in so many areas of your life, but you're also going to need time on the cushion or time on the mat to work with your mind. Now, which way you do it, there are probably an infinite number of meditations that you can do. You find what works for you. One of our favorite from Maui, from a gentleman called Claudio, who would spend half of the year in Vancouver, half of the year in Maui, he talked about just being as a meditation. And we absolutely loved and thrived on it. Sounds too simple. You sat on a Tommy Bahama lounge chair and you just kicked back and did your best to think about nothing. And if a thought came up, you let it go and you just went back to thinking about nothing. That alone is a hugely powerful meditation. Do we have a question or two left?
Yes, there was a question. Flora asks, I use surrogate tapping when someone's being stubborn. I never tried on a partner, but I've done it on my close family. And some are narcissists. Do you guys ever use that? So
it's Flora, is it?
Yes.
So Flora, I've never done surrogate tapping, and I don't usually do something meddling on somebody else. Not that there's anything necessarily wrong with it, without their permission. With that said, I have done a lot of surrogate or via proxy, I call it, emotion code work on people, or kind of at this point, Michael's version of the emotion code work on people with tremendous success after getting their permission. Although I might, if somebody has a wound and it goes back to their parent, I might do some work on the parent, which helps everybody moving forward in the top line. So I'm not saying not to do it. I couldn't answer that question, but we have not tried it ourselves. However, when we have had challenges or troubles with other people, there is something that we can do that does have an effect on the other person, a hugely positive effect. And that is, and we've addressed this many times, but why not again here tonight? Ho'oponopono. It is a Hawaiian healing prayer that really says, in essence, we are all one. Jessica and I, while you see us as separate beings, there's no separation here. There's no separation between you and me as well. So if I work on healing my heart, I can help heal somebody else's heart, and I can help with a conflict as well. The prayer goes like this, and basically I love having a coin on me. I don't think I do right now. I have a micro SD card, which will pretend is a coin. So you take that other person, and you pretend this is a coin with the other person's name on it. You drop it into the jukebox of your heart. Right down into your heart. Boom. You put their name in there, and then you can let them go. You don't have to worry about it. And you say 4 lines over and over again. I love you. Please forgive me. I am sorry. Thank you. But you're not actually saying, like, I love you, Paul. Please forgive me, Paul. I am sorry, Paul. Thank you, Paul. No, you put the name Paul in there. You forget about it. Now you're working on healing yourself, which helps heal them and heal the relationship. I love you, Michael. Please forgive me, Michael. I am sorry, Michael. Thank you, Michael. And was it Flora who asked this question? So you can be saying, I love you, Flora. Please forgive me, Flora. I am sorry, Flora. Thank you, Flora. And you start to heal your heart, which starts to heal the other person as well. In fact, going back to the person who asked what they can do with a very rigid husband, do a whole bunch of Ho'oponopono work. Do it before you go to bed. Do 27 times. Do it 108 times. 108, a good Buddhist number, but that's a lot of work. So if you divide it by 4, since it's 4 lines, you get 108. Sorry for the fast math there. You can do it in the evening. You can do it in the morning. I've had coaching clients who have done it as their running mantra throughout the entire day, and it has changed their lives and changed all of the relationships around them. I find it particularly important if you're powerful, if you have a workplace conflict, if you have a conflict with somebody that you're working with, if there is a relationship conflict, almost any time of conflict, and particularly if you have one with a mother or a father, even as an adult, go to Ho'oponopono and it changes everything. Got time for one last question, then I've got to jump off the line into coaching.
One last question. I think that might be it.
That'd be perfect timing then.
I did want to clarify though, Flora said that she does the tapping in front of the person and it's more for herself than the other person, but it positively affects the other person.
That makes beautiful sense. Flora, thank you for clarifying on that, because when you shift your energy, you become the most powerful tuning fork in the room. As your energy shifts, those around you shift. So that makes absolute positive sense. And nobody knows that better than Sir Meowsers. Because what happens when you get into a positive place?
He crawls on top of me.
Yes, absolutely. I'm looking like I might have to victimize here in a minute for a cameo. What do you think?
I think he likes the attention. He loves being held.
Okay. So with that said, do you want to let anybody know any last housekeeping things, coaching stuff, anything like that while I grab Sir Meowsers?
Housekeeping things. I guess, well, if you weren't here in the beginning, we mentioned that we were going to put together a membership platform.
Yeah.
So it'll have all our online courses and guided meditations and special behind the scenes clips from interviews and our online courses and a community forum. So people can go and interact with each other and us and shine brighter. So that's in its very early stages right now.
So it's something we wanted to do for years, and we're actually putting it together now. It's really exciting. It's admittedly, going along this topic, it's very intimidating but we will figure it out.
Yep. And lastly, we're getting a Facebook team on board, and we're going to be filming more clips about what goes on in our lives and how we live. So if you have suggestions on what you'd like to see on Facebook, let us know.
Absolutely. And lastly, if you are seriously interested in coaching and you want a free 15-minute session with me to see if we're a good fit with each other, Jessica's going to put down the link here. I think it's inspirenationshow.com/coaching, where you can sign up for a session with me. Do want to warn you, it does cost a decent amount at this point. My God, can I help you change your life? We are backed up till May right now, but I would love and be honored to work with you. And if you've ever thought of making great shifts, this is a really, really powerful way you can do so.
There is one more question. I think it's a quick answer. So,
all right, we'll go for it. If Sir Meowsers hangs in there, I'll hang in there.
Lori asks, do you have to keep track of the time when you meditate? What if you decide you want to meditate for 20 minutes?
So, Lori, go to the timer. Absolutely. That way you do not have to think about it. The less that you think about, because if you don't, unless you've been meditating for quite a while, and unless you have a whole bunch of free time, you will find yourself going to your watch, or going to your cell phone continuously if you don't have a timer set. So set the timer and forget it. Put that 20 minutes down, and then you can just totally zone out, veg out, go into your meditation without having to worry, how much more time do I have? How much more time do I have? Which inherently takes you out of that meditative state. With that said, I did heart coherence work today, and I broke 10 for my first time.
Really?
And that was focusing on you.
Aw, compassion for me?
Sending you love, sending you love, sending you love, sending you love, and sending you love. And I use this little heart math device, which we probably put it on a link later. And I just watched my heart coherence, my ability to stay in vibrational alignment with my heart, go up and up and up and up and up. So staying in that place of love during that meditation, love specifically for you, was huge. All right, I've got to let Sir Meowsers down now, or I'm going to get hurt.
The secret is the chin scratch. It's the favorite.
All right. Thank you guys, everybody, for being here. We look forward to seeing you next week. If you have, so we've got all these great things to film. If there are topics you'd like to see on this YouTube Live as well, this is your show. We're doing this for you. We do it for ourselves as well, but we're doing it for you. So please let us know what you would like us to do for YouTube Live, and we will work on that. We send all our love above and beyond all else. Shine bright. Woohoo! I can't hit the end button.
I think you just have to stay there.
You can hit the button now.
No, I'm enjoying this too much. And Mary says Meowsers is slow blinking, so he's good. That means he's enjoying it. I have a feeling Baby's gonna really enjoy being your son or daughter.
Are we gonna end this?
I'm waiting for the song to end. I think they should go on Facebook.
Love you guys.
Night.